Federal government enforces no work, no pay on striking ASUU members. Security agencies nabbed 2,547, seized 212,000 kilogram drugs, generate 658 billion naira in September. House of Reps commit to enact laws that will strengthen Nigeria's petroleum sector to curb industrial disharmony. And on the foreign scene, Hamas frees all living hostages as Trump declares end to two-year war in Gaza. Hello, good evening, and welcome to News Updates on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubzala. Now the news in full. The federal government has directed vice-chancellors of federal universities across the country to strictly enforce the no work, no pay policy against members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities currently participating in the ongoing nationwide strike. A directive was contained in a circular dated October 13, 2025 and signed by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa. The circular was copied to the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Permanent Secretary of Education, Pro-Chancellors of all federal universities, Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Executive Secretary of the NUC. According to the circular, the Federal Ministry of Education expressed dissatisfaction over reports of the continued industrial action by ASUU, despite repeated calls for dialogue, stressing that government would no longer tolerate non-compliance with extant labor laws. The minister directed all vice-chancellors of federal universities to immediately conduct a roll call and physical head count for all academic staff in their institutions. He also instructed them to submit a comprehensive report indicating staff members who are present and performing their official duties and those absent or participating in the strike. The Congress of University Academics, CONWA, says it is not taking part in the ongoing nationwide strike by university lecturers. In a statement, CONWA's president, Niyi Sumonu, dismissed reports that have been suggesting its involvement in the ongoing strike. He said the union is committed to maintaining academic stability through constructive dialogue and peaceful engagement with the government and other stakeholders. Sumonu urged CONWA members to continue performing their academic and administrative duties as expected. The union noted its formal protest following its initial exclusion from the renegotiation committee of the 2009 agreement between academic staff and the federal government, which was inaugurated in October 2024. Sumonu urged university vice-chancellors to ensure the safety and protection of CONWA members as they continue their legitimate duties. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, declared a two-week warning strike from October 13th, citing years of unmet demands. Human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has defended the rights of Nigerian workers to unionize and embark on strike actions. Falana also described recent attempts to vilify labor unions as both legally baseless and morally irresponsible. Speaking in an interview on Monday, Falana said the right to unionize and bargain collectively is enshrined in the Nigerian constitution and backed by international conventions ratified by the country. Falana's comments come in the wake of the recent face-off between the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the management of Dangote Refinery over alleged anti-labor practices. The union had accused the company of sacking and redeploying workers who joined Pengason and of refusing to recognize it as a legitimate representative body within the refinery. The dispute, which led to a nationwide strike threat by oil workers, was temporarily resolved after the intervention of the federal government led by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Dingedi, and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, leading to the suspension of the strike. However, the episode reignited debate over workers' rights in private enterprises and the broader state of labor relations in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Now, in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, Nigeria's security, intelligence, and enforcement agencies sustained high operational momentum throughout September 2025, achieving major breakthroughs in the fight against terrorism, banditry, smuggling, and drug trafficking. This was disclosed during the monthly Joint Security Press Briefing, where issues surrounding the use of tinted glass permits and timelines for ending insecurity in the country were also addressed. Trust TV's Noel Sampson completes the report.
In September 2025, Nigeria's security and enforcement agencies intensified nationwide operations, carrying out 196 military missions that neutralized insurgents, rescued 76 kidnapped victims, and led to the surrender of 30 terrorists. Nigeria Police Force arrested 2,547 suspects, dismantled 37 criminal gangs, and recovered 250 million naira. The NDLA on its part seized over 212,000 kilograms of illicit drugs, while NAFDAC intensified its clampdown on fake medicines. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Customs Service generated 658 billion naira in revenue and improved trade facilitation. Other agencies also enhanced road safety, rehabilitation, and border control efforts. Anti-corruption agencies recorded notable achievements, as well as recovering 446 million naira and uncovering illicit mining operations linked to terror financing.
There's also the need to scale up in enforcement through sharper and intelligence-led operations, and also to scale up in collaboration by deepening coordination with local government, traditional institutions, and civil society groups.
Also speaking at the briefing were representatives of the Nigerian Police Force, Nigeria Army, and the Federal Road Safety Corps, who responded to journalists' questions on issues surrounding tinted glass permits, security challenges, and the alleged reckless conduct of some officers while attempting to stop motorists, particularly road safety officials.
That there is no court order stopping the enforcement of the tint permits out of consideration for Nigerians and out of respect for the Nigeria Bar Association after their visit to the police headquarters. The Inspector General of Police, IGP instructed officers and men of the force to put enforcement on hold pending the outcome of the hearing that's coming up on October 16th, just a few days from now.
Security is a recurring phenomenon which may not have a particular solution. Therefore, it will not be appropriate to say specifically that by so time or at so moment there will be no issue relating to insecurity in Nigeria.
Enforcement is not an easy thing on the road. There's something we say in the balance of the FRSC. We say enlightenment without enforcement is entertainment. And we're not on the road to entertain people. We're on the road to enforce traffic laws. Actually, those men on the road are well trained. But, you know, in every organization, we have people that oversee us. But I want to believe that they too, they don't want to die. I mean, those people that we just, you see a vehicle moving, maybe the vehicle has not stopped, and you just jump on the road. We advise them against that.
Despite the progress recorded, Nigeria continues to grapple with challenges such as mandatory, communal clashes, and smuggling. Security agencies say they are strengthening intelligence sharing, technology-driven operations, and citizen engagement to consolidate on recent gains. The briefing concluded that sustainable peace and stability will depend on stronger collaboration among citizens, the media, and institutions. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, troops of 2 Division Sector 3 Operation Fansanyama have recorded more successes in the ongoing counter-banditry operations in Kwara State, with the rescue of 3 kidnapped victims during coordinated operations within the Babanla Forest. The Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations 22 Armored Brigade, Ilorin, Captain Stephen Nwako, confirmed the operation, saying the troops successfully freed Mrs. Oluwa Busayo Taiwo, 25, and a 3-year-old son, Taiwo Irayomide. Nwako said the victim, found in a pool of blood after being abandoned by fleeing bandits, was given immediate medical attention. Commending the troops for their professionalism and rapid response, the commander, 22 Armored Brigade, Brigadier General Ezra Barkins, reaffirmed the Nigerian Army's unwavering commitment to protecting citizens and maintaining peace across Kwara State and neighboring areas. He assured that troops will sustain aggressive patrols and offensive operations until all criminal elements threatening public safety are neutralized. A Kano Sharia court sitting in Fagge local government area of Kano State has sentenced a 33-year-old man, Nasiru Shitu, to 8 months imprisonment for impersonating a police officer. Shitu, a resident of Ofarwaika quarters of Kano City, was arrested on Sunday, September 21st, 2025, around 5 p.m. at Ofar Dawano, dressed in a police uniform. The prosecution counsel, Barrister Zahraddin Mustafa, charged him with impersonation, to which the accused pleaded guilty. Delivering judgment, the presiding judge, Qadi Nasir Ahmed Muhammad, convicted Shitu and sentenced him to 8 months in prison with an option of 70,000 naira fine. The Department of State Services (DSS) has warned members of the public against engaging with Victor Onyedikaji Godwin, a dismissed officer of the service who is allegedly using the agency's name to defraud unsuspecting Nigerians. In the statement released on Sunday, the DSS said Godwin has been impersonating officials of the agency and engaging in fraudulent activities under its identity. The agency urged citizens to be cautious and to verify the authenticity of any person claiming to represent the DSS before making financial or other commitments. It also advised that all legitimate requests, complaints, or inquiries be directed to the service through its official contact channels. The service noted that the latest alert follows a similar warning issued last week concerning Barry Donald, another dismissed officer accused of using the DSS name to defraud members of the public. Now, police operatives in Rivers State have arrested a suspected notorious human trafficking kingpin, Blessing Jack, and her syndicate in Port Harcourt, the state capital, who specialize in using fake scans to manipulate vulnerable pregnant women to obtain their babies. Police authorities in the state stated that the suspected kingpin was arrested after she discussed a recent incident where she and her associate had taken a woman's baby, claiming the baby had died but had been paid the sum of 2 million naira for the transaction. Police spokesperson in Rivers State, SP Grace Iringe Koko, who confirmed Blessing Jack's arrest, and 3 of her gang members in a statement on Monday, said with the arrest, the command has made a significant breakthrough in its investigation into the activities of child trafficking syndicates in the state. She said an in-depth investigation has been launched to arrest other members of the syndicate and dismantle the network in the state. The police command appealed to the public to report any information that may aid in the investigation and prosecution of human trafficking cases. And the federal government is set to disburse 6.3 billion naira in interest-free loans to 21,000 Nigerians affected by recent flood disasters across the country. Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Yusuf Sununu, made this known on Monday in Abuja during a roundtable marking the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction. Sununu said the initiative aims to cushion the impact of flooding and enhance food security nationwide. The minister further revealed that the federal government, through the National Social Investment Program, has reached over 8.1 million households with more than 300 billion naira in conditional cash transfers. He also announced plans to empower internally displaced persons through a scheme that guarantees a market for their produce. In her remarks, the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, Zubaida Umar, highlighted the growing threats of climate-related disasters and called for stronger preventive measures. Now, the Kano Hisbah Board has arrested 5 youths for allegedly conducting an illegal marriage ceremony without parental consent. A Deputy Commander General of the board, Mujahideen Aminuddin, disclosed this in a statement he issued in Kano on Monday. He said those arrested included the groom, bride, and 3 others who acted as representatives and a witness. According to Aminuddin, the marriage was allegedly contracted with a dowry of 10,000 naira below the minimum threshold recognized in Islam legal standards. Aminuddin said the union violated Islamic and legal marital procedures, adding that the board had launched an investigation. He appealed to parents to monitor their children's social engagement and guide them in marriage matters. A development comes after Kano State government directed the State Hizbah Board to begin preparations for the wedding of no fewer than 2,000 couples under its mass wedding program. This is news update on Trust TV coming up after the break. We'll take a look at promoting industrial disharmony through effective legislation. This and many more when we return. To stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In case you just joined in, this is news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. We told you that federal government enforces no work, no pay on striking ASUU members. And security agencies nabbed 2,547, seized 212,000 kilograms drugs, generate 658 billion naira in September. Now moving on to more stories, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has reaffirmed the legislators' commitment to crafting policies and enacting laws that will strengthen Nigeria's petroleum sector for a more secure, efficient and resilient economy. Represented by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu at the first annual Downstream Petroleum Week in Abuja, with the theme celebrating our successes, confronting our challenges, and finding solutions for the petroleum downstream sector, he said the forum would drive growth, transparency, and sustainable practices. The report.
The Speaker said downstream industry is witnessing a revival under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, noting that the takeoff of the Dangote refinery marks a turning point in Nigeria's quest for energy self-sufficiency, adding that the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 has further reformed governance and boosted investor confidence in the oil and gas sector.
Solutions to energy security issues, pipeline vandalism, and dubious pricing, and policy clarity over certain regulations in the sector. As part of the larger energy transition, this conference is expected to develop a roadmap for sustainable energy practices and discover opportunities in new technologies that power solar, that wind, and hydroelectricity.
Chairman of the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Ikenga Ugochinyere, said the committee is aware of recent labor concerns involving the Dangote refinery and sector unions, noting that while such issues are not uncommon in developing economics, they must not be allowed to undermine productivity or national stability. He urged labor unions and industry operators to prioritize dialogue over disruptions, adding that the committee is ready to facilitate peace, fairness, and mutual respect in all industrial engagements.
On labor issues, it must be noted that no reform can succeed without industrial harmony. The committee is aware of the recent labor concerns involving some of the refiners and sector unions, which, while such action issues are not uncommon in developing economies, they must never be allowed to undermine productivity or national stability.
Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio, represented by Senator Oyelola Ashiru, said no nation achieves transformation without resolve, noting that the path to energy stability will be neither short nor easy, while emphasizing the need to control and confront smuggling, sabotage, and inefficiency in the distribution system.
Let no one imagine that journey to energy stability will be short or simple. There will be no moments of doubt, moments of difficulty, but if we stay the course, the result will be stronger, fairer, and more prosperous for the Nigerian nation.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekpo acknowledged persistent challenges, including infrastructure deficit, market volatility, and regulatory uncertainty, calling for stronger collaboration between the executive and legislature, greater private sector participation, and adherence to global best practices.
Addressing this requires sustained collaboration between the executive and legislature, underpinned by sound policy direction and consistent implementation. It is also a call for enhanced private sector participation, investment in technology, and adherence to global best practices.
High point of the event was the Award of Excellence on deserving organizations for their contributions to sector growth.
And now in business, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has disclosed that 11 crude oil cargoes offered to local refiners in a month were not taken up despite their repeated complaints about crude shortages. The chief executive of NUPRC, Benga Komolafe, who was represented by an official of the commission, Boma Atiye Goba, made this known during a panel session at the Crude Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria Summit held recently in Lagos. According to Komolafe, while refiners had consistently raised concerns about the non-availability of feedstock for local processing, the commission's records showed that crude oil was being made available under the domestic crude supply obligation. Using April as a reference, he said 48 barrels were made available for export, out of which 21 were reserved for local refining, but only 10 were lifted by refiners. Explaining the reasons for the unclaimed cargoes, Komalafe said the matter was largely commercial and technical and not that the oil was not available. Komalafe disclosed that 8 of the cargoes were rejected due to pricing differences and crude grade preferences among the refiners. And now on the foreign scene, all surviving Israeli hostages held by Hamas have been released under a ceasefire deal brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump, bringing an apparent end to the 2-year conflict between Israel and the Palestinian militant group. According to the Israeli military, the final batch of 20 hostages was handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, on Monday before being transferred to Israeli forces in Gaza. Hamas initially handed over 7 hostages to the Red Cross, who were driven to Israeli security forces to be taken into Israel. It later handed over 13 more hostages. They will be reunited with their families before being flown by helicopter to hospitals. The release triggered emotional scenes in Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, where families and supporters who had gathered for months broke into tears and applause as news of the final releases spread. Hamas's move follows the October 9 ceasefire agreement that set out a phased plan: the release of all hostages, a partial withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza, and a broader roadmap for peace. And that's a wrap on news updates. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. I am Dorcas Yakubuzala. Thank you for watching.